Hey everybody, Richard Tromans here again at Artificial Lawyer TV. Today we're doing another product walkthrough. This time we're looking at LegalSifter, a company that you may have heard of, but has changed a lot recently. And to tell us more about it and some of the things it can do is Tom Henson. Hey Tom.
Hey Richard, thanks for having me.
Good to have you on the show. In time-honored fashion, I will disappear and let Tom introduce himself and the company, and then Tom will take us through the demo. But without further ado, please take it away, Tom.
Great, thanks Richard. Welcome everybody. My name is Tom Henson. I am responsible for product development, product management, and marketing at LegalSifter. And today I'm going to walk through our latest release, which is called ReviewPro. I'm going to just give a quick overview, actually using the web page for ReviewPro. Then I'm going to walk through the structure of the playbooks that we use that really drive our AI contract review. And then I'll show you a live demo of reviewing a contract using our Word add-in and seeing the red lines applied, and walk through some of the features and benefits of the application. So with that, I will start. It's on our corporate website. I'm going to go to Products, AI Contract Review, and this will be a demo, so you won't have to request the demo. You're getting it today in this walkthrough. So the first thing you'll notice is it is inherent to Word. So it is a Word add-in. All of the user interactions are right within the Word document and within the Word add-in. You'll see that in the demo. Our approach is to use a structured playbook to do a full first pass review. So you'll see that the edits are actually made in the document. The approach is to give the user the experience of sending the contract out to an associate who has the structured playbook. They make all of the red lines, add comments, provide a summary, and deliver that back. The difference being that this is all done in about a minute or two versus hours, days, weeks when it's a fully manual human review. So you'll see the quality of the red lines that are made and the speed with which that happens. And as I mentioned, it really starts with a structured playbook. So I'll walk through the playbook manager just to give you an idea of that structure. We've based this on years of AI contract expertise and models. And so we've taken our knowledge over the years of how to accurately identify the concepts in a contract or whether they're missing from the contract. And now we've layered on the power of generative AI and large language models to take actions, make edits, insert, delete, comment, and you'll be able to see all that in the demo. And as I mentioned, this is all based on over 10 years of contract-specific AI. We call our AI algorithms sifters, so you'll see that terminology as I go through the playbook manager and the application. The sifter is basically a trained piece of logic that can identify the concept in a contract regardless of how it's worded, the style, and it's trained with examples over the years. So we've got a great starting point to then be able to take the next step and make the red lines in the document. So let me switch over to the playbook manager. We've got two types of playbooks in the playbook manager. We've got two different libraries. We have a standard set of playbooks. These are managed by LegalSifter. We've got a team of contract lawyers that are building out these standard playbooks, adding examples, training them, making sure that they provide a good starting point for reviewing any specific type of contract. And then we have two types. The issue flagging playbooks will simply identify those concepts or those clauses within a contract and then provide guidance to the user. So sometimes you just want a quick issue flagging to identify if something's in a contract or missing. We have those which were brought over from our legacy product LegalSifter Review. But we imagine most users will be using our redlining playbooks, which will actually take that next step and make the edits directly in the document based on what's in the playbook. So I am going to go into a demo playbook. And on the left-hand side, you'll see the list of provisions or clauses or contract terms, distinct concepts that you want to check for in a contract of a given type. And you have all typical functionality here. You can add in provisions, you can remove provisions, you can edit provisions. I'm just going to click into the confidential information definition provision. And the structure is fairly straightforward. You've got the provision. You may have some guidance or an overview for users for this provision. And then you're defining positions. So what is your company's position related to defining confidential information? If I click into that, you see that we have our sifter that's trained to identify, regardless of how it's worded, how do you identify confidential information and the definition of it? And then this is pretty typical. You would have two actions. If you find it in the contract, make sure it aligns with my position. And so that's where the AI can go in and make the strategic or the surgical edits to align it with the position. And if it's missing, then add my standard language in for the definition of confidential information. And you can have multiple actions for a given position. You can have multiple positions within a provision. So we've created a structure that's very flexible, very trainable, and can be easily modified for very specific positions for your specific situation. So with that, I'm going to now move over. This is our web application, which is the administrative site that includes the Playbook Manager. I'm now going to move directly into Word. And you see here we have a non-disclosure agreement. I'm in the Word application, and over on the right-hand side here, we have our add-in for ReviewPro. So if I click on that, it opens up the right-hand panel. I'm going to make sure I'm in the right organization. And so now I can select the playbook that I want our AI engine to apply against this contract. So in this case, I want our non-disclosure agreement, and I'm going to hit the Sift button, and you'll see an actual live progress bar show up that is getting real-time feedback from our AI engine. So what it's doing is it's reading the entire contract. So it has the full context of what's in the full agreement or in the full document. It's then going to read the playbook that we identified, so it understands what provisions is it looking for, what positions are we checking for, and then what action should be taken if it's found or missing. So it will go through, identify those edits, and as I mentioned, we've got years of experience identifying where the concept is in the document. So what we've been able to focus on over the past few months is how do we leverage the power of the large language model and generative AI to make the edits in the document in a way that a lawyer would make the edits. So not full-scale clause replacement, but really surgical edits that are just enough to align with the position given where the starting point was. So based on all of that, it will make all of those edits. The next step in the process, we will use a little bit of agentic AI, where we're now saying, hey, if a position affected multiple positions affected a clause in the contract, let's run that back through the LLM to resolve any conflicts. So that if we need a clause to align with two different positions, let's make sure that we capture that with another run through the LLM. So you can see fairly quick, about a minute and a half, and the timing is, as our data science leader says, it is logarithmic. So it isn't linear. If you have 3 pages and it's a minute, we've tested all the way up to 100 pages and hundreds of actions. It's no more than 8 to 9 minutes for a very complex, large document. So the first thing you'll see is the red lines are made in the Word document. So all of the edits, I have all the functionality of Word. If I don't like an edit, I can reject it using the standard Word functionality. I can make an edit to this to tweak it to make it exactly how I would like the red line to go back. You'll see that there are comments that can get added in. But once I have a comfort level that this playbook is accurate in making the right red lines, I could literally close this right-hand panel and just review this as if I got it back from an associate who did the first pass red lines. So all Word functionality is available. If I come over here now, the first thing you'll see is a summary. So again, as if somebody had done the review and sent me a summary of what they found. We see that there were 27 provisions that were checked. All of them were checked for in the agreement. 10 of them aligned with our position, and 17 of them needed some kind of change. And then we've got a detail in terms of, how many terms were missing that we needed to add into the document. Sometimes those are the tricky ones that humans will miss, is something that doesn't show up in the document that we should have in the document or that we want in the document. So in this case, you can see we added 6 terms, we modified 10 of them, we deleted 2, and then we added some comments that generally will help. If you standardize those comments back to the counterparty, it can streamline the negotiation, especially if multiple people are reviewing similar types of contracts. And then we also still have alerts where we aren't going to take the action necessarily, but we can provide the user with options for them to make a judgment call on whether there's additional language added or not. So I've got this summary, I can close that. And now you see the different types of actions that are taken. I can filter on those. So here we can see, I can click through and see all of the inserts that were made for a given provision. So these were all added. I've got the edits that were made and deletions, comments, and flags. I'm going to show just 2 examples here. One is the nature of the edits that we make. So if we look at the return or destruction of confidential information, you can see that the edits are fairly surgical. We have only updated what needed to be updated. So the original term was on expiration or termination. The receiving party will return or destroy all information. We wanted to align that with on written request. And we also want to make sure that we're accounting for any backups or storage, things that would disrupt our normal processes. And so we've added that in there as well. And then the other thing I'll call out is the action type, or sorry, the alert. So this is a demo contract. We typically wouldn't have jury trial provision in an NDA, but there are provisions or concepts that we can flag if they show up, and then we provide the user with some description that says, hey, this is in here, make a judgment call, or this is not in the contract, and do you want to include it? So we can provide all of that information, very flexible in terms of how the interaction between how much the AI does and how much the human reviewer does, knowing that there's going to be judgment involved to finalize all of the edits and get those back to the counterparty. And really, that is it. So if I send this on to another internal user and they have ReviewPro, when they open up ReviewPro, they will see all of the same information on the right-hand side. And if I want to use this as a checklist, I can open up these actions and I can go through and review each one and step through them and mark them as checked. And then I may come across a few that I am not sure about that I want to send on to somebody to review. So I can check the ones that I've reviewed and approved and then move that on and forward the Word document to the other internal user. They'll just see the ones that they need to review, take those actions, and then it's a Word document that can get sent on to the counterparty. So the counterparty, if they don't have access to your ReviewPro account, they're just going to see the Word document with all of the standard edits and comments made, just as you would if it was a manual process. So the other thing you'll notice is we've taken the approach of using the playbook to make those edits and truly save time from the manual review and editing that would happen. So we know that a lot of times the prompt model requires you to step through each action, maybe edit it, confirm that it's right, and then apply it into the document. We felt that that's just replacing the time you would spend editing manually with managing and reviewing those edits. So we decided to take the approach of let's save as much time as possible and start to manage by exception. So when you do find something that needs to be changed, you can make that directly in the document. And then over time, we will send that back to automatically train and update the playbook as needed. So with that, Richard, that is the walkthrough of ReviewPro.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you very much. There's a lot going on there. A whole bunch of questions, but I'll try and keep it fairly minimal,
Okay.
so people can digest the walkthrough. But just one question on the playbooks. Are you developing the playbooks with the clients, or how does that work?
We are. So there's two options. One is we will work with the client once we've identified a standard playbook that they'd like to customize. That same team of contract lawyers will work with the client to customize their playbook. We've got some AI tools that expedite that, so it's just a matter of weeks for them to really dial in their own specific custom playbook. We also have that interface that I showed earlier.
Mm.
So if they want to manage it themselves, and maybe there's only a few things that they need to tweak in terms of party name and governing law, they can do that themselves as well. So it's a do-it-yourself playbook management option, as well as us coming alongside and assisting to get that dialed in.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. So more broader questions. So if someone's watching this and they're like, okay, this sounds good, I would like it. How do they get hold of it? How do you bring LegalSifter into your in-house legal team?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to actually go back to the website here. On our website, we do have the option for a free trial.
Hmm.
So I can scroll down here and there's two options. One is we can go through a more detailed demo and answer specific questions, maybe a different contract type. So we can do that. We also have the option for a free trial on the website. So you can sign up. It's 14 days. This is a credit model, so we'll give you enough credits to review maybe 10 contracts, and then we can go from there as far as how many contracts, the volume, all of that. So we've tried to
Sure.
make it easy for someone to get in there and see the quality of those red lines.
Fantastic. And in terms of law firms, I mean, obviously this is heavily focused on the in-house legal teams. Do you work with law firms, or do you want to work with law firms?
We do. That's a great question. So some of our best clients with LegalSifter Review, our original review AI review application,
Hmm.
were law firms.
Hmm.
And so they were able to do a first pass much more quickly. Sometimes they would actually offer it out to their clients to do that first pass based on their own playbook. So they would customize their playbook. So yeah, we certainly can serve law firms as well as those in-house teams. Again, depending on the complexity of the playbook and how many of a specific contract type that law firm is dealing with and can standardize a playbook for.
Got it. Fantastic. And just last question, really, because you kind of mentioned the integration with Word and everything already. In terms of sort of jurisdictions, countries, regions, I mean, obviously you'll cover the US. Will you be covering, or can it be used to cover other markets?
It can be. So the playbook content
Mm.
is really driven by the customer. So the customer can go in there if they want to specify things for a different jurisdiction, they can make those changes. Right now, we don't have the in-house expertise to create versions for different jurisdictions, but generally the concepts are there or the provisions are there, and then it's a matter of again making it very specific for the customer, whether that's jurisdiction, where they're located, the type of business they're in, and the regulations that apply. So we've tried to make that easy for them to make those edits to get the playbook. The goal is it's making those changes and identifying as much as it can.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's really, really interesting. Thanks, Tom. That's all we've got time for today, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about LegalSifter in the weeks and months to come. But that's all we have time for, and thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Richard.